Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Hallmark Heartbeats, a podcast all about Hallmark movies. I am your host, Camille. This week is a special episode. I am interviewing Marco Grazzini, star of the newest Hallmark movie titled Right in Front of Me. He played Chef Nick Guevarra, a Filipino chef who specializes in Filipino fusion cuisine. He co-stars with lead actress Janel Parrish. For those who aren't aware, this movie is groundbreaking. This is the very first Hallmark movie where both lead actors are of Asian descent. Marco is part Filipino, Janelle is part Chinese. Being Filipino myself, this interview is a little different. Marco and I not only talk about behind the scenes secrets of filming right in front of me, but we talk about growing up Filipino in America and Canada, the foods we love, working with Janelle, and much, much more. So here's our interview with Marco. This movie was like a fan favorite. A lot of fans really love this movie. I love this movie. I was telling one of my friends, I was like, I'm gonna cry. I told her this before the movie even aired. I was like, you don't understand. Growing up, there was no mention of Filipino culture, no mention of Filipino food, no mention. There was hardly any mention. There was hardly any Filipinos on TV or movies or anything like that. And we get to mention adobo and babinka and all these like Filipino dishes.
My Lola right beside me. No, I hear you absolutely.
I was teary-eyed when I saw your interview with CBN, and I was like, holy crap, he's talking about my food. I'm eating adobo right now.
No, it's been super nice to have the opportunity to represent and reflect, part of my culture and to see different stories being told, because I'm the same. Like, I grew up and I never remember any Filipinos on TV growing up. Does Tia Carrere count somewhat? Who else? Like, there's
my person that I grew up was Lea Salonga, the Broadway.
Lea Salonga. I did a commercial with Lea Salonga.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
that is my dream. I literally grew up emulating her.
I was in the background though. I was speaking of doing jobs where you're sweating to death. I started my career actually in Manila, and in 2004 I did a Sunsilk or Cream Silk, I think Cream Silk, the blue one. I don't know. I did a Cream Silk commercial, and it was like, the Philippines, they always like try to rip off some some famous sort of property that's already going on. Like, so this one was sort of like a take on like The Matrix.
Yes.
So Lea Salonga's beautiful black shiny hair was being protected by Cream Silk, but like the technology in the Cream Silk was these like ninja guys. I was one of the ninja guys. So we were like Neo in The Matrix. We were wearing black
glasses and stuff.
Glasses and like black polyester suits in like 35, like 110-degree Manila broad daylight.
Yes.
Just but she was super, super sweet and super awesome. And
that when my mom showed me first time Lea Salonga and I heard her sing, I was like, that's what I want to be. I want to I literally grew up singing in choir and different like genre. I'm not a professional singer by any means at all.
Neither am I.
But I just was so enamored by her and stuff. But anyway, I grew up. That's who I grew up. I mean, actually, that was one of my questions to you is who were some influences that made you get into the entertainment business? Because I mean, like,
I'm gonna say rock.
There isn't that many for us, especially.
Yeah, I'm gonna say The Rock. I'm gonna say a lot of wrestlers. I grew up watching a lot of wrestling,
Same
and
here. I'm a
that
Stone
like,
Cold
and
fan, though.
you're a Hulk Hogan fan?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold? I didn't like them, but I was a Rock fan. But I go all the way back to like the '80s with like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and Andre the Giant, and you go back to those days, and those guys are really great on the microphone. They had a showmanship about them, and they were actors. They were over actors, but they were actors. And I guess, I mean, I could say that those are my first sort of,
Influences.
acting coaches, any sort of like wanting to perform. But I never gravitated towards anything, performative. I took one drama class in high school because it was like an easy class credit. But I was very shy, and I never sort of saw this as a viable career option. So I sort of just fell into it after university, actually. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
how long have you been acting? Like
15, 16 years, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You're about to asking how old are you?
I am old enough to remember the 80s. It's out there on the internet. I'm going to make you work for it a little bit.
Oh my God.
Because if I say it, then it's out there. He says he's this old. But if you read it, if you go on Wikipedia and it says
Okay,
like,
fine,
oh,
let me Google it. Hold up. Since you're telling me, how old are you? Okay. It doesn't say your birthday. It just says it's a Canadian film and television actor. No birthday.
I don't know. It's out there somewhere. I'm not in my 20s. Let's say that much.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I assumed this much since you were talking about working with Lea Salonga in like 2004. But as you were working as a toddler or something. Mm-hmm. But when was the last time you went to the Philippines? Was
2008. Yeah. How about you?
Do you miss it?
Do I miss it? I miss it a lot. I can't wait to go back. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, next year, and before you know it, it's been 13 years. Yeah. And I bet so much has changed. So much changed in the 4 years from 2004 to 2008. So I can only imagine now that it's grown so much and it's become more of a tourist hub. And yeah, it's, one of the sort of thriving places in Asia now.
Yeah. We went,
no.
The last time I went there was 2004. It was for my cousin's. My cousin's now 17 years old. That's how I know like how long ago it was, because we were there for his baptism.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, the main thing I remember about the Philippines was I felt sad because it was the poverty and how some of the poor people lived and stuff. I just couldn't. It hurt my heart watching that and stuff. But I hope it got better since then too.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Like, you're sort of driving around in a car, and then you pass an underpass, and there's a family of 3, 4, 5, just with living with a mattress and stuff, and kids running around on the street and stuff. And I mean, you go to places like Philippines and Mexico and other places in South America, other places in Asia, and it really hits you sort of the discrepancy. And then you just turn you go into the rich area, and it's like ridiculous luxury. And you kind of see that starting in North America, unfortunately.
Yeah, in Hawaii, right? Here too. The discrepancy between the poor people and then the rich people here in Hawaii is crazy. People living in tents as well as mansions and right down the road from each other.
Yep.
So anyway, you're the first Filipino lead, so you play Chef Nick. I said Nick Chef. Why did I say that? Cooking Filipino fusion food. How does that feel having our like culture like in the forefront of the movie, and it also be like being the flag bearer, I guess, like of that whole thing.
I'm very flattered by it. I'm honored to to be able to do it.
I was hoping you were gonna pull out some Tagalog.
I mean, I read the words that are written, but that's the thing though. Like this movie wasn't necessarily a sort of a feature of, let's feature this culture or that culture, like some movies can be, where you're sort of catering to an audience. It was, the food part of it was just the food and culture part of it was just a little bit of Nick's, total package. Nick's and as it sort of should. Like, I mean, just as much as I'm Filipino and I'm proud of it, and I'm also part Italian. I'm also born and raised in Canada, but I don't necessarily identify with any of those three more than the other. I'm in each, every time that I've been in each place, it feels like home, just like LA feels like home, just like Bangkok feels like home, because those places and those people sort of, it's the places and it's the people really, and the culture and the vibe of the people that makes it feel like home.
Yeah.
And so, having said that, the Philippines feeling like one of my homes, I'm very proud to have had this chance to showcase it on a Hallmark movie.
What did your family think when you told them?
My mom loves it. My mom loves any time that I get to play a chef and be on TV. But she almost they were having trouble casting my Lola.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine casting, and especially if they want to cast authentically Filipino in Vancouver where we shot, sometimes it's going to be hard to cast an older actor who's of a certain ethnic background. So they were kind of struggling, and they called me, and they were asking, like, do you know anybody?
It's like my mom could do it.
If it wasn't COVID, because she doesn't live here, she lives in Toronto. If it wasn't for COVID, I totally would have cast my mom, and got her a ridiculous trailer, and yeah.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
But no, she loves it. It's nice getting messages from family all around in Hawaii, in the Philippines. So that's the nice thing about nowadays, is that, like, the stuff that I do has such far reach.
Yeah, it's a lot of Filipinos were all like, "Oh my God, we get to have." It's not just me. It's like a lot of people on Instagram and on Facebook are saying the same things. It's like, this is something to be proud of. This is something that we're so happy for. With Asian representation. With both you and Janel, because Janel is also of Asian descent. It's like crazy, and especially in the times now where Asian hate is prevalent. It's like such a powerful. I'm gonna cry. It's such a powerful thing,
Yeah.
But
I think it's important just to, I mean, again, to sort of reiterate, right? Like, we were both, characters who came from Asian cultures and were, sort of proud of it. But at the same time, it wasn't a story that was not able to be understood or identified with by people of other backgrounds and cultures, right? And so that's what's, I feel like, a step forward and sort of getting past, this time we're in, or any times where there's sort of unease around other people or other cultures, is taking those steps to see that we're just like everybody else. We're all the same. We all want the same things, and having material like this in film and TV is an important step for that.
Yeah. How was working with Janel? I love the chemistry between you guys. You guys had I love your characters. You guys had so much fun together. It just seemed like you guys had fun together on set.
It was very, I think it was very obvious, right? Like it came out so apparently on TV. Yeah, we clicked right from the beginning. She's super sweet, super easy to work with.
Tall compared to her. Either that or she's short.
One of those two. I'm gonna go with I'm super tall. She's normal height. She's normal height. Yeah. Yeah. The solution is you either put her on an apple box or dig a trench for me. But we made it look good, right? We made it look good.
But I mean,
she had neck pain, I had neck pain.
I just love the fact that you guys had your two characters had so much banter, like little side jokes with each other. And I felt like I don't know if it was you guys were like that offset, but on set, like on the camera, I could totally tell you guys were like had both friendship at least offset.
Both off camera, yeah, we totally click and get along, and would talk before and after, still text each other afterwards. But the script itself was great. It wasn't a sort of dry and sort of stale script. It was nice and lively, and I think a big thing that helped that out, a big element of the script that helped that out, is the fact that because Nick is Janel's wingman essentially for like a good portion of the film.
Yeah.
There's a different element to their relationship. Like there's sort of a immediate letting down of the guard, because there isn't that like, oh, is he interested in me, or I'm trying to pursue her. It was like we were friends right off the bat, and there was that familiarity, right? So you can't do that in every movie, but we were just lucky enough that we had that, and then that the writing was so freaking amazing too.
Yeah, I think Janel's character said it best, where she was like, I was just me. I wasn't awkward. I wasn't trying to be attracted to this person or whatever. So I was just being myself. That's why you didn't notice that there was something going on between me and Nick, because it was just, in comparison to Matt, where she was awkward and weird, just jittery. She was just herself with your character and stuff, and I like that too. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is it ties to my next question, which is what are some similarities that you have and differences that you have with Nick? I know you cook.
I cook. I'm half Filipino. I have worked in a restaurant before, not as a chef though, as a waiter. I'm crafty like he is. Like, remember when Edward was like, no, you can't serve that? And I was like, okay, we'll see. Right?
That was fun.
I have a bit of a temper, which I don't know if Nick has. I think he probably has a temper. All people who work in restaurants kind of have this like thing about them where you don't know what's gonna happen one moment to the next. But I'm a nice guy for the most part. Differences. I keep on thinking of similarities, and I think that's one of the reasons why it was just so easy to fall into, being Nick on set. He's a very sort of dry, sarcastic humor, which is, sort of totally in line with me. So yeah, there's not a lot of differences. It honestly felt very tailored to fit. Yeah.
The funny part was in the beginning when you were saying that you have helicopter parents. So we had a whole fleet of helicopters.
I didn't have helicopter parents. I didn't.
Oh, no. I relate to that.
You relate to that? Okay. I'm sorry. You have to relate to that.
It wasn't even just parents. It was like grandparents, aunts and uncles in the whole family.
Okay.
It was a whole fleet of helicopters. But were you close to your grandmom too, like Nick was?
My Lola passed away just recently.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should say that.
Yeah, that's all right. But I'm glad that I got the opportunity to meet her back in 2004, and again in 2008. And
So she was in the
God bless her
Philippines.
soul. Yeah, everybody's in the Philippines or Hawaii.
Mm.
Yeah, on my mom's
Do you
side.
know what? We're in Hawaii. I mean, no, I'm sorry. We're in the Philippines. I know you said you were in North Carolina, but we're in the Philippines. There's most of your.
So mostly everybody's in Manila, but there's still some here and there in Nueva Ecija. So that's up north. I've never been.
Like Ilocano area.
I don't think that far. No shade to the Ilocanos.
My family, my mom's side is from Visayan, so down below, so nice. Like Rojas City and stuff. But that's where my grandmother is right now. Okay. So, what are some of the favorite foods that you like to cook?
I'll give you my top 4 cuisines.
Or eat.
So it's Italian, Mexican. Did you say that you like to cook?
Cook or eat.
Oh, okay. Italian, Mexican, Japanese, and Thai, Malaysian, Indonesian. I'm gonna put all in one sort of thing there because there's a lot of sort of bleed over. But those 4, because there's a lot of variety, there's a lot of balance. I love texture. I love, sweet, sour, umami, salty, crunch, fresh, sour. I just love intense flavor.
Yep.
And I just love being. I don't eat out at restaurants much because I get disappointed often. Yeah, so those would be my sort of top 4. Honorable mention to sort of the Middle Eastern Persian area.
Well, do you have any Filipino dishes that you cook too?
Yeah. So recently I've started making an estofado, but like I make it with sun-dried tomatoes in there. I'll just sort of include a little bit more intense flavors in there. What else on the Filipino side?
Have you had sinigang yet? My favorite is sinigang.
Yeah. Like, I mean, again, like it's like here's another similarity with Nick. Like, yeah, sinigang, but then like I'll include a little bit of lemongrass in the sinigang. So it's like, tamarind and lemongrass, which doesn't sound like it would go together, but like, yeah, like, sinigang is like when you're feeling down and out and you're like sick and you're like, I miss my mom. That's when you do sinigang. What else? Desserts, definitely.
Yeah.
Like anything coconut for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Leche flan. I just had a craving for leche flan right now.
I know, right? It's one of my favorite things to eat. My aunt makes some really good homemade. I also love lumpia. Lumpia is like another one of my favorites.
I haven't had lumpia in a while. Yeah.
My mom makes like great big lumpia. That's just like one of my favorite dishes. So I'll just dip it. But sinigang, machado is another one of my favorite Filipino foods and stuff. You should try
like kare kare too. Like I'm a huge peanut butter fan, so kare kare, yeah.
Do you so are you a fusion fan or are you like a purist?
Fusion, yeah, definitely fusion. Like, I mean, there's nothing's gonna beat, the comfort food of your mom or your tita's pancit, right? And sometimes you just gotta have, one or 8 lumpia rolls. But Filipino cuisine as a whole, like I really like what a lot of places in LA and also a friend of mine in Toronto, they're really sort of dressing up the cuisine and bringing in fresher elements and, you know, like plating it, like let's say in a taco, sisig in a taco or something like that. And like sort of the stuff that I see back home in the Philippines as well, like on like Instagram and YouTube, where, you know, there's more attention to, there's sort of more health conscious, and or there's also like the influence of, you know, foodies from around the world, and you sort of see the evolution of classic Filipino dishes. So I'm about that, because like even like the, you know, sort of the other cuisines that I dabble in, like I always like, you know, to combine things. Like food is fluid, right? Like I know sometimes some things you just don't want to screw around with, like the recipes, but like if it tastes good, it tastes good.
I'm a purist. I am a purist. If you have the food, if you have like a certain name next to the food, like let's say adobo, or let's say, you know, whatever. If it doesn't taste like what I remember it's supposed to taste like, I'm like, this doesn't look right. And also,
that's a good one for sure. Yeah.
Also, I love rice. So I can't even like imagine, like, let's say, you know, where you had taco platings or whatever. So I'm like, where's the rice? It's supposed to go on white rice, right?
Yeah, what can you do, man? Some people you can't mess with their, you know, the creature comforts, their you know, their staples. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those people, sadly. My parents want to try to experiment, and my brothers and I were all the same. We're like, no, go back to the usual.
Yeah. So you must hate the new like poke craze that's sweeping the world, where they're putting corn and tortilla chips and lettuce.
Like the tortilla is fine, I guess, because it's kind of, you kind of make it like a dip, poke dip kind of thing. But
mandarin slices, little baby orange slices in your poke.
No.
Nah, that's wrong.
Right? I just rather get like a little,
stop doing that, people.
Poke container from Foodland with a fork and eat straight out of the bowl, and I put it on like you know, regular slices or whatever. So you know what I mean? Like you've been to Hawaii, right? Or no? So like the Foodland little container things with like a quarter of a pound of poke, and just walk out the door with a fork. That's it. I don't need all the fancy stuff. I just prefer like simple.
Yeah, but you can't charge $17 a bowl for Foodland poke. So, but no, I'm glad to see it.
That bad.
No. Well, over here it's like $17 for a bowl of poke. I'm like, hold on, let me get a mortgage on this poke bowl. Yeah, but I'm glad to, like I love poke, like the
What's your favorite poke? Like, what's your favorite dish?
I'm not gonna talk poke with you. I'm gonna insult you. No, I would say probably tuna belly. So that's, what is tuna belly? How do you say tuna belly?
Ahi.
Is tuna belly ahi? I thought that was.
I think so. Toro. Ahi tuna is.
I thought toro was tuna belly. I'm not sure. Anyways, tuna, yeah, for sure.
I love lihi. I always go and get the, you know, where they have like seaweed on top of it with the oyster sauce. Lihi. Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
It's especially on a hot day, for sure.
Oh yeah. Sure. I'd be waiting out in the parking lot with my little container of poke. Let
me ask you a question. What was your favorite part of the movie? What was your favorite scene in the movie?
Oh God, there's so many. I liked when you guys, But y'all finally kissed, number one. It was a very romantic kiss.
Wait, 2 hours for your favorite scene. Yeah.
No,
I look beautiful too. It was really picturesque.
There were so many favorites though. Like I loved it when you I just love your little conversations that you had with each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't like big moments or whatever. It was just like when you were made skewers for her, or when you made the drinks, or when you were making fun of her with like you betcha. It was just the little moments that were just so cute, and it brought like both yours and Janel's characters' personalities out, and it was kind of cute, and it was like it just reminded me of the like you said, you guys were friends, and that's how friends are. Is you guys teach each other.
Yeah,
let's have little inside jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you were just rooting for them to get together, right? And it wasn't like all this sort of pressure of like a normal movie where like, oh, they like each other, right? Like, and it's obvious, that they're pursuing each other. That was, it was nice. Like you were sort of like eased into it. Yeah. And I like the fact that also that everybody was likable. No, like none of the girls were like catty to each other. Like Matt was super funny and likable too. It wasn't like, because like in Hallmark and Lifetime movies, usually the guy who doesn't get the girl is obviously a loser. And I've played a couple of losers on Hallmark.
Yes.
Anyways, usually like it's obvious that the guy is just not good for. Like Matt was awesome. Like he was hilarious. I was laughing the whole movie. But yeah, like everybody was a good person. Everybody was likable, and
there was no bad guy in the movie. There was like no
drama.
loser.
Yeah, there was no drama. Everybody was
I hate movies that have like unnecessary conflict, and I feel like it's very easy to pick out when it's unnecessary, because it's like, okay, why are you doing this? It doesn't make sense. This person, they're not a bad person. It does not make sense to me. But there are some, with this one, there was like a flow, and it was fun, and it was sweet, and I laughed the whole time. I couldn't stop laughing.
Thank you. That's honestly, that's the biggest compliment to me. Like, to hear that, like to be able to laugh at something, is
like I said, I just loved you. When you asked me which was my favorite, I'm like, how do I choose one? There's like so many little things that just the biggest thing was just how you guys joked with each other. You know what I mean? It's like that was my favorite part. It's just how y'all joked with each other. How do I explain that? Like that's my favorite.
Maybe because like a big majority of the movie happened in the hotel, and I'm always wearing that sort of white coat. But everything sort of blends together for me too. And if you were to ask me what's your favorite part, it's honestly just the relationship with Carly, and just the back and forth with her, right? And who they are to each other. That, and then the panic scene where like Edward was coming in, and I had to like, that was fun to shoot. Like, but and the part where she like bumps into me, like as she's saying hi to Matt, and I had like the tray of forks and whatever. Anything like physical comedy, like really, is good for me. Oh, and her hands, Carly's fish hands.
What did you say it was? You said it was a way.
You look like somebody who was lost at sea, and he was a rescue
boat.
Like yeah.
I was thinking Titanic when you said that.
Yeah.
But it's just like I said, it's just like your little jokes and insider interactions with her. That was just like my favorite part. It was a lot of fun for sure. There was no one thing. It was all of it and stuff. And also, like I said, I was most happy to see my culture most represented, even if it's just through food. It was just like like I said, it's such a rare thing. It's so rare. It's so. I have to say that in the recent years, there has been such a great increase in Asian representation that there hasn't been in earlier decades. I mean, you got, growing up, American television and American film was mostly martial artists. Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, all these people.
And
I love them. They're great. They're wonderful actors, and they totally represent. But it's like I can't do martial arts. Most of us can't.
Yeah.
They're also Chinese, Malaysian descent. They're not Filipinos like us, so it's like it got to. I don't know about you, but a lot of growing up, people were like assuming I was related to Bruce Lee and stuff like that. And they were asking me if I was, it was like, I'm not Chinese, I'm not them, but because they don't know anybody else who was Filipino, it's like, well, who are you? Where's Philippines from? It was, so to see someone, gotta start fucking crying, stop it.
It's so awesome to be part of it, and then to see other Filipinos up on the screen as well, like Manny Jacinto on The Good Place. I don't know if you watch The Good Place. He's so hilarious. I love him. And this is the thing. It's on the screen. Like I feel like it's happening, and it's happening fairly quickly. So that's a great thing to see. At least I'm still, not a senior citizen, because like I've been playing Hispanic, like all like majority of my roles, before the last couple of years were all, of Hispanic descent. And luckily, I'm fluent in Spanish as well, and I can do some accents if need be. But like, you sort of get into the territory of like, okay, we want authentically Hispanic, and I'm like, okay, well, authentically mixed or authentically Filipino, I'm never gonna get cast as authentically Italian, because we have like this sort of preconceived notion of what that is. And so to have the opportunity now with 2 movies back to back with Lone Star Christmas and right in front of me, to play Filipino, and to actually have the writers want to reflect that and be like, okay, is this okay? And we want to feature part of your culture. That's a great step forward. And but we need to see it in the writing room, we need to see it in behind the camera with the directors and producers and in the studios. But that's a generational thing, right? Like that's like we can't all of a sudden snap our fingers and immediately have this huge choice of talent in all of those departments, right? But it's going to happen. So that just gives me such joy to be a part of that, and to one day be an old man and to play a grandfather to the Filipino lead on some TV show.
Lolo. You're gonna be the Lolo one day.
I mean, no, I'm gonna be CW till I'm 80. I just won't smile, so my wrinkles won't show. Your favorite? Oh, do you watch Virgin River?
I don't, even though I should.
Watch it. Okay.
I know. It's not, I've been told that you play on Virgin River, which is cool. So
it's really good.
But
it's really good.
I'm a Grey's Anatomy fan, and I know the guy played Nathan on Grey's Anatomy. So Martin Hernandez, I think it was. How is
Henderson? Yeah.
Henderson? Yeah. How is working with him?
Recently I've been really blessed with working with really genuine, warm, funny people. He's awesome. I've learned a lot working with him too. He's very sexy. I can say it. I gotta concentrate extra hard sometimes.
I don't know if you feel comfortable in answering. With the increase of Asian hate crimes, pretty much. How do you feel? Do you feel like safe, or do you worry? Because I worry. I
don't worry about myself for a number of reasons. I think sort of being outside of the US. Oh, me personally, I'm not worried because I don't see much of it here in Vancouver. I know there's been increased numbers of hate crimes throughout North America, throughout the world, really. But like, to me, it seems like the large majority of it is happening in the US. But I do worry for, my mom, who's a 75, 76-year-old Filipino woman walking around a big city, and you never know what can happen. So I don't like that it's happening. It's an unfortunate sort of byproduct of a lot of things, right, that have happened over the last year or two. And I feel like we're all going through tough times because of the pandemic, and money's tight for a lot of people, and people are losing jobs. And so whenever you go through these times, like post-war, or like during a pandemic, it's always easier to blame somebody else. And it's an unfortunate thing that Asian Americans are at the center of that right now, but Hispanics have been at the center of it. Muslim
Black
Americans
people.
have been at the center of it. African Americans have been at the center of it forever. And so it doesn't surprise me. I don't know if that's a sort of crass thing to say, but I don't think it's, I don't know, I might be speaking out of ignorance here, but we're also stuck in sort of this like media and social media vortex of, anything that's happening, it just gets hugely amplified. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, addressing it, and that there aren't serious issues at the core. Yeah, sorry, that was just sort of a fruit salad of stream of consciousness thoughts off the top of my head. But yeah.
I just get angry. Because I watch the news and I should. It's not even just attacks anymore, like attacks or murders or whatever. It's a lot of verbal stuff going on, and people still calling it China virus, and people not understanding the consequences of just using that. And it's like, we're not blaming the Asian Americans, we're blaming China. And I'm like, yeah, but guess who gets the brunt of the attack? It's not China, it's us Asian Americans and stuff like that. It's just I worry. I'm lucky living in Hawaii because we have a mostly Asian American AAPI population here, but I do worry about most of my mainland friends. So
Yeah. You don't want it to see it escalate any further than this. Yeah, like, anyways.
Okay, so thank you so much for letting me interview you. It was awesome to talk to you. And
really appreciate Camille, you taking the time to interview me today. It's nice chatting with you. Thank you so much for loving our movie and for your thoughtful and insightful questions and comments.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I told you, I was most excited about this one. I've been saying it for like 2-3 weeks before the movie even came out. I was like, I'm so excited about this one. I don't know why, but it's just this the one that I'm like most excited about. And then
and imagine if the movie sucked. Imagine if you're like, it's great.
I was gonna sit there and I was gonna sit there and be like, oh my god, if the movie sucked and I had to review it, and I'm like, oh god. But yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for letting me interview you, and I will totally send you the link when it comes out so you can share it with your family. Thank you, Marco, for joining us. So in conclusion, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, Tune-in+Alexa, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Follow us on social media platforms. Our Instagram page is at Hallmark Heartbeats, Facebook page Hallmark Heartbeats Podcast, and Twitter is Hallmark Heartbeat1. Buy us a coffee on www.buymeacoffee.com/HmarkHeartbeats. We have never released podcasts, behind-the-scenes news, as well as raw, unedited footage of our interviews, including this one. You get to see Marco face-to-face, as well as 20 more minutes of our interview. A lot of it couldn't fit into the podcast this week. All links are on our link tree, which is in our bio. The next couple of podcasts are pretty big. On April 26th, I will be releasing a podcast reviewing movie titled Romance Down Under. It was formerly titled Love on the Menu, an Australian-based film starring Cindy Busby and Tim Ross. It was filmed in 2019, released in Australian Netflix, and now being shown in the USA on Hallmark Channel. May 3rd, since there's not going to be any new Hallmark movies that week, I will be reviewing 2019 movie release, Love Takes Flight. It's a Hallmark Hall of Fame drama that stars Nikki DeLoach and Jeff Hefner. May 10th, the new movie coming out that week is called Baby It's Cold Inside, starring Jocelyn Houdon and Stephen Lunt. May 17th, it's the big one for Tyler and Lacey Chabert fans. This one is Sweet Carolina. It's a film reuniting Lacey Chabert and Tyler Hines, who both starred in Winter in Vale. I believe the following week is going to be the start of Summer Nights for Hallmark, but don't know, so, it might be starting May 22nd. I can't wait to see it all. So anyway, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. And I'll see you next week, okay? Bye, guys.